Hey Lindbergh, happy Eclipse Day! It's Mr. Doherty, one of your science teachers, and I am definitely looking forward to this day that we get to spend together doing the once-in-a-lifetime total solar eclipse. We're going to spend the next couple of minutes going over some background information and safety stuff to make sure that the day goes smoothly for everyone. I hope that you enjoy the video, learn something today, and most of all, have tons of fun.
Alright, so like I said, we're going to talk about background and safety related to today's total solar eclipse. A lot of people are calling this one the Great American Eclipse because of the path it's taking across the US. The first two questions we want to answer together are what causes a total solar eclipse and why are they so rare? The simplest explanation for what causes a total solar eclipse is that the moon is going to get between the Earth and the Sun. That's going to block out the sunlight on some parts of the Earth. There's actually three more complicated things that we have to consider in order to describe what causes a total solar eclipse. The first of those three things is the phases of the moon. So if you remember back to your elementary knowledge about the phases of the moon, we start with a new moon. As it appears on Earth, it gets larger and larger as we see more of the side of the moon that is lit. So we go through the waxing phases to get to a full moon, and then we start to get smaller and smaller as we see it on Earth as the lit side of the moon turns away from us. And so we should ask ourselves, which phase of the moon should the moon be in order for us to see a total solar eclipse? And hopefully this visual kind of helps you see that, oh, we're going to need it to be in the new moon phase because we need the moon to be between the sun and the Earth, and the new moon phase is the only time that that happens. A lot of people's gut reaction would be to say, oh, of course it needs to be in the full moon, but as we can see from the diagram, then it would be on the opposite side of the Earth than we need it to be. So here's a solar calendar for the phases of the moon during August of 2017. Today is August 21st, so we want to look right here, and we do indeed have a new moon. So we've met condition number one for the moon being able to produce a total solar eclipse. The second thing we have to consider is that the sun, the moon, and the Earth all do have to be in alignment, which can be kind of tricky because the moon is on a little bit more than a 5-degree tilt off of that straight line between the Earth and the sun. Sometimes as the moon is orbiting around the Earth, we're going to have the moon too high in order for its shadow to be cast onto the Earth. It just casts a shadow somewhere above the Earth. Sometimes that shadow is going to be cast below the Earth. And so if we want a total solar eclipse, we need something like what's shown in the bottom picture here. We need the sun, the moon, and the Earth to be right in alignment so that that shadow does get cast somewhere onto the Earth. There's actually only 2 times a year where this happens, and those can be seen here in those middle two pictures. And that's when the moon lines completely up with the sun and the Earth. And those are just the 2 points every year where a solar eclipse is possible. The third thing that we have to consider is that the moon orbiting around the Earth isn't actually orbiting in a perfect sphere. The moon's path around the Earth is an ellipse, which means that sometimes it's going to be closer to the Earth and sometimes it's going to be farther away from the Earth. If we want the moon to completely block out the sun, we need it to be closer to the Earth so it appears large enough from our perspective to completely block out the sun. So if we were to have the moon in apogee and everything lined up, we would get what's called an annular eclipse. This is what an annular eclipse looks like. We still have the moon passing between the Earth and the sun, but the moon's not big enough to completely cover all of the sun's surface. So even that tiny sliver of the surface that we can see is bright enough to make it so that we're not able to see the sun's corona. If we compare that to what we'll see with the total solar eclipse, the moon will be in perigee, where it's closer to the Earth and can cover the whole surface of the sun. Then we can see the sun's corona, or its outer atmosphere, It's supposed to be really, really beautiful, and this is the only time that we'll ever be able to see that corona.
What do you call a tick on the moon? A lunatic.
What do people on the moon do when they get married? They go on their honey earth.
Why couldn't the astronaut book a room on the moon?
Because it was full.
The next question we want to answer together is who will be able to see today's total solar eclipse? I'm sure you've probably seen by now maps or animations of the path that the eclipse is going to take. Just in case, we'll take a quick look at this one. It shows us the path of totality, where the moon's shadow is going to pass. So it starts in Oregon, moves across the country. There's us in Missouri, and the last state it'll pass through is South Carolina. This eclipse is unique because there's going to be so many people who just already live within the path of totality. There's actually 12.2 million Americans, or 3.8% of the nation, who lives already within the path of the total solar eclipse. And of course, there are many more people anticipated to come from other areas to be in that path. If we zoom in on Missouri, we can see that it's going to start up near Kansas City, a little bit to the north of it, move towards us in St. Louis, and kind of hit the south side of St. Louis. What we'll be able to see is starting at around 11:50, we'll see what's shown on the top, where the moon is just barely starting to cover the sun, and throughout the day it'll become more and more covered, till around 1:17 we get those three beautiful middle pictures, where the moon is completely covering the sun, and the opposite will happen throughout the afternoon as the moon slowly starts to uncover the sun. Anyone living in the path of totality will see essentially that same thing. Everyone in the United States above or below that line will be able to see a partial solar eclipse. And the farther away you get from that line, the less of the sun the moon will appear to cover. So let's say you're just a little bit off of that line, you'll see something similar to what's shown in the top row of pictures, and then it'll just transition to what's shown in the bottom row of pictures, but you won't get that total solar eclipse section in the middle.
Why does a moon rock taste better than an earth rock? It's a little meatier.
How does Jupiter hold up his trousers?
How?
With an asteroid belt.
Why is the moon bald? Because he has no air, like hair, you know, like, okay.
The next question we want to answer together is what can I expect to see before and during the total solar eclipse? We're going to go outside starting around 1 o'clock. One of the first things you'll notice when you get outside is that shadows are going to look a little bit different than usual. Anything with a hole in it is going to have kind of this mini eclipse shape to it, and any other shadows that you see are going to look a little bit different as well. You will have made these eclipse viewers throughout the day, so be sure to take that out with you, as well as your poster board to project it onto. Any hole that you punch in your mini eclipse viewer is going to make a tiny version of the eclipse, so instead of seeing little circles, you'll see little eclipses. So keep that in mind as you make those later on today. Another interesting effect that we'll see is called shadow bands or shadow snakes. This will happen about 2 to 3 minutes before totality occurs. Scientists actually don't know exactly what these are or what causes them, but they'll just look like interesting little light shadows moving across the ground. Right before totality, we'll see something called the diamond ring. The moon, of course, isn't a perfect sphere. There's peaks and valleys. So that last remaining bit of sunlight will pass through the lowest valley on the moon, making that bright spot with the ring around it, and that's why they call it the diamond ring. After the diamond ring, you won't be able to see anything through your glasses, so you know it'll be time to take your glasses off. When you take those off, you'll be able to stare directly at the sun with no chance of damaging your eyes, because the whole sun's surface will be covered, and we'll just be able to see the outer atmosphere or the corona. It looks a little bit different every time, but it extends millions of miles from the sun's surface, and it's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. Also, during totality, maybe take a quick look around. You'll be able to see 4 different planets: Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, and Venus. At our location at Lindbergh High School, we'll experience about 1 minute and 40 seconds of totality. Before that time is up, we need to make sure we get our glasses back on, because at the end of totality, we'll experience the second diamond ring effect. It's going to be a bright, bright light, especially since our eyes have adjusted to the dark, and it can cause damage with just a couple seconds of seeing that without the glasses. So please be listening to Dr. Cochran about when you need to put your glasses back on. Make sure to follow his instructions. You'll be able to see the second diamond ring with your glasses on, and then we'll move back into a partial solar eclipse. We'll see all of those great things, but we'll be able to sense some other things as well. Animals won't really know what's going on. They'll just think that it's nighttime, so crickets will start to chirp, birds will come back in to roost. We should feel the temperature drop by about 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and any breeze that there was before the eclipse will disappear.
What type of songs do planets sing? Neptunes.
How do you get a baby astronaut to sleep? You rock it.
How does the man in the moon cut his hair? Eclipse it.
Next, we're going to talk about safety stuff for a few minutes. We want to make sure that everyone knows how they can safely view the eclipse. As with any day, you wouldn't want to go out and look directly at the sun. The same is true for today as we view the solar eclipse. We don't want to look directly at the sun. It will cause damage to our eyes and give us vision problems in the future. The scary thing about the damage caused to our eyes by looking at the sun is that we can't tell that it's happening automatically. You don't feel any pain, but after just a few seconds of looking at the sun, your eyes will begin to get damaged. If you were to look at the sun, you would get solar retinopathy, which is when you have part of your retina destroyed. People with solar retinopathy have sometimes just blurriness in their vision right in the center, so they have a hard time identifying people's faces. Some people even get big black spots right in the middle of their vision for the rest of their lives. We don't want any of that to happen to anyone today. So please take safety seriously, keep your glasses on any time that you want to be viewing the sun, and listen to all instructions that are presented to you. Here are some safety tips that you need to follow when we are outside viewing the eclipse. Thing number 1, you can see absolutely nothing out of those glasses except for the sun, so don't move around with your eclipse glasses on. You won't be able to see anything, and there is a reasonable potential for you to hurt yourself or the people around you. So do not move around with the eclipse glasses on. Second thing to keep in mind, don't try and use anything except the eclipse glasses to protect your eyes. Sunglasses are not good enough. No other form of protection that you may have heard about is good enough. You need to have the solar eclipse glasses that we provided for you. Anytime you'd like to view the sun before or after totality, so anytime from 11:50 in the morning till 1:17, and anytime after the total solar eclipse around 1:18, your glasses absolutely do need to be on if you view the sun, even for just a second. The only time that you're allowed to take off your glasses is during that 1 and 40 seconds of totality that we'll get. You'll know when to take your glasses off because Dr. Cochran will tell you. Also, you'll stop being able to see anything through your glasses after the diamond ring. You'll know when to put your glasses on because Dr. Cochran will tell you. And this is the one where it's especially important to listen to his instructions because it's hard for you to know exactly when totality will end. This is a quick recap. The day will start out like this with a partial eclipse. It will become more and more covered. We'll experience the diamond ring. During all of that time, you need your glasses on. The only time you can have your glasses off is during totality for that minute and 40 seconds. Before the second diamond ring occurs, you need your glasses back on, and any time the rest of the day you'd like to view the sun, your glasses need to be on as well. Here's somebody going over that information with you just one more time to make sure that you've got it down.
Once the eclipse starts and you want to start looking at the sun, you want to look at your feet, then put your glasses on, and then look at the sun. Then once you got into the mid-eclipse and it's safe to not wear your glasses anymore, you'll want to look at your feet again before you take the glasses off, and then you can safely look at the sun without the glasses. Once that part of the eclipse is over and you need to put them back on, you'll look at your feet again, put them back on, and you can watch the rest of the eclipse with the glasses.
How's the moon like a dollar? It has 4 quarters.
What do you call a crazy spaceman?
An astronaut.
How does one astronaut on the moon tell another astronaut that he's sorry? He apologizes.
The last question we want to address together is, can you or should you take pictures of the eclipse? On that day, some of you are going to be tempted to use your cell phone to take pictures of the eclipse. That's not really a great idea. Reason number 1, it can damage your cell phone. Aiming your cell phone camera at the sun for an extended period of time can cause damage to the cell phone camera, which I know that you don't want. Reason number 2, I have never experienced an eclipse. You have probably never experienced an eclipse, and we only get a minute and 40 seconds of totality. From everything I've read and from every person I've watched videos from, they say it's not worth it. You're not going to get a good picture of the eclipse, and it's better for you to just try and get a good mental picture of it, soak it all in while it's happening, and not waste your time that you have to take a picture. Cell phone picture of the sun is going to look something like this. Not that great compared to the pictures we're going to get from professional photographers. There'll be millions of pictures and videos out there after the eclipse happens. I know you want one for your Snapchat story or your Instagram, but it probably won't be worth it. It'd be better to try and take pictures of the shadows before or after the eclipse, take pictures of your friends around you, or take an audio recording of the noises people make as we transition into totality. That being said, I know everyone's not going to listen to me, so I do not recommend taking pictures of the sun with your phone. If you choose to do so, you should put your solar eclipse glasses in front of your camera lens just to make sure that that is completely protected.
Hey guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Your teachers are going to distribute your eclipse glasses as well as an information sheet on how and when you should wear those. Please take a few minutes to look over that. Make sure you let your teacher know if you have any questions. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the total solar eclipse as we get to view it this afternoon. Have fun!